Welcome back, guys, to Clubhouse Reps. I'm Kate Anderson. That's Lucas Holben. We've been hiatus for a little while. I've been on the road traveling for some golf tournaments. I was hoping to see Lou in Dallas, where he's at, but he actually went back to Arizona. So we got some scheduling errors, but don't get us wrong. We've still been watching sports. We're still keeping up with it. Lou, we haven't seen each other for 2 weeks now. A lot of changes in the NFL, a lot of things going on in college football. Playoff baseballs right now. We'll talk about that just briefly. What's life been like, Lou, over there in Dallas, Texas?
I mean, it's been good, man. I think it's been a crazy week of sports. We saw a ton of shit with like Rob Sala getting fired and just a ton of random stuff. So we have a ton to talk about. But before we jump to the NFL, I want to hear a little bit about your tournament in Dallas at Trinity Forest. How do you play? Could you give us a little breakdown on what you were thinking and where you ended up finishing on that tournament?
Yeah. Went to Dallas, played Trinity Forest in SMU's event, and played pretty well. Started off a little slow, shot 71 in the first round, and then progressively got better every round. Shot 69 second round, and then 67 in the final round. Shot 4 under in my final 9 holes. Finished eighth. So that felt really
Let's go.
good. It's been a while since I've finished that well in college golf. So excited about that. And Dallas, I love Dallas. I play pretty good golf there usually. So that was a
Yeah,
fun place to
conditions are
travel to.
usually first of all, I mean, congratulations, but
Thank you.
conditions are usually pretty good. I can get a little windy, but anything conditions wise that made it tough this
I
weekend.
mean, it was firm and a little bit windy, but nothing that was extremely out of sorts. It's always windy in Texas. So
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
how was
All
the
right, let's
birthday, Lou?
let's
How was the birthday? Did you have a good birthday? Lou turned 22. Everyone
yeah.
go comment. Happy birthday, Lou.
Yeah, no, it was great. Spent a lot of time with fam. Went home, so a lot of home time, which is nice. Yeah, man, it was a good birthday. Watched a lot of sports too. I think that's kind of best birthday present. So
Yeah.
you know,
Into obviously the most attractive point. Arizona Cardinals lose in Green Bay. It was Kyler Murray's first time being in Green Bay. They lose 13-34, and honestly, this was a pretty pitiful performance. Obviously, I know Marvin Harrison went down, concussion. I don't know if he'll be back this week. But Lou, what are your thoughts on this game? You know, again,
I'm really confused on like what the identity of this team is, to be completely honest. Like we pulled out a really tough win against the 49ers, and then we're a game away from being the top in the division. But the Packers, I think credit goes to the Packers, and the credit does not go to our offensive coordinator, Drew Pretzing, because I just feel like he did nothing effective all day. And the Packers just torched us. I mean, the way that they're motioning, Jaden Reed and just some of their like fast athletic guys was just really fun to see. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. And I know you're hot on the Packers, but I think Jordan Love is incredible. I think this team is potentially Super Bowl bound. We'll see. What
yeah,
are
I
your
mean, I
thoughts?
think starting off with the offense in Arizona, I mean, Packers' deep run defense was pretty good, and James Conner pretty much got shut down. I know Trey Benson, I think, had like a long run for like 25 yards, but there was no run game there. And then obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. gets hurt. And then going back to this like identity thing, like we don't know who's supposed to get the ball in those pressure situations. I get you want to give it to Harrison, but I think honestly the ball should be going to McBride. Like if we have to sit down and be like, who's the ball going to go to in these moments where it's a 3rd and 6 and you got to get it, I think the priority and the identity of this team needs to be Trey McBride because he's a guy who's been here before. He's made a lot of big catches. Marvin Harrison could be that guy, but he's a big X wide receiver. He's going to be catching the deep long routes. I'm right there with you where there's no identity behind this Pretzing offense.
No, yeah, and I couldn't agree more with the Trey McBride take. I think he's an absolute stud. Have him on fantasy, and I think the last game Kyler did start to target him because some of his other options were out. But like that's why I think it's a coaching issue because we have the pieces, and I know Kyler's not perfect. He's still, if he's a bridge quarterback or if he is really the franchise quarterback, doesn't matter either way. Like we should still be able to run a certain type of offense, and we have a ton of pieces. But I agree with you, Marvin Harrison. I don't know if he's totally ready yet to be that number one guy because he dropped a lot of passes. Not a lot. I think he dropped 1 or 2 passes in the game, but they were big, important passes. He can't. He just doesn't seem to come up big in those moments all the time, which is just going to come with experience. So
yeah, I think it's experience.
I think we got to rely on McBride. He's been on the team for a few years now. Been with Kyler, so I think we got to continue to do that. But man, we got to figure out how to run the ball. Like if we can't run the ball, we can't do anything.
Yeah, I agree. And then kind of switching to the defensive side, we just got no answers. We got no pressure on Jordan Love. There was that one play. I think it was when it was 24-13, and the corner got turned around, and I think it was Watson who just had like a wide open catch in the kind of front end of the end zone. I don't know. That play looked really bad.
Yeah, no,
like you just can't get turned around like that. Like I don't know if that's a coaching thing. I think where how do you not looking at the ball when the guy is looking back at the quarterback?
Yeah, that was Budda Baker too, and that was supposed to be our
that
best.
Was Budda?
Pretty sure it was Budda Baker. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it was Budda
Baker. I'm thinking of a Christian Watson touchdown that I thought was Budda, but maybe not. Either way,
maybe it was Dobbs who caught it.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, maybe. I think I know what you're talking about. It was not Budda then. If it was Dobbs, if you're talking about that one play where he caught it in the corner.
Yeah,
the highlights
that looked bad. It just looked like a resemblance of the game where the Packers pretty much just ran over the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I'm not expecting anything from this team. Probably pick up a win here or there, but ultimately 7 to 8 wins probably sounds right still, don't you think?
Yeah, it's just, there's no identity, and obviously the quarterback situation's still big, and we don't have any defensive pressure on the edge.
Yeah. That brings up last Cardinals point. We'll move on after this, but should we pursue Hassan Reddick? They just, I think the Jets just said today that they would allow him to be traded or something like that.
I don't think so. I think Hassan Reddick I think he's 28.
Yeah.
28 or 29, correct?
Sounds right. Not sure.
I don't know. I think the Cardinals need a younger guy, and I think if they get a top 10 draft pick this year, they could potentially get a couple different younger candidates. I'm not sold on overpaying for someone older, so not sold.
I agree. We're not contending right now.
No point, and you're probably not going to be
try to develop.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be contending next year, right? You need a lot of pieces. It feels like we need a lot of pieces to be competitive again.
If we had an extremely solid rookie class and they performed on day one and everyone stay healthy, maybe. But no, I agree. 2 to 3 years, if we don't get to that spot in 2 to 3 years, whether it's Kyler or somebody new at our, playing quarterback, something like we got to get our owner to sell the team or do something because we're just doomed. Like I might just trade
now.
Like I don't know. It's just sad.
Yeah, it is. This is professional sports for you. It's tough. You can tell within the first 6 weeks if a team's going to be if it's a rebuild year or it's get ready for next draft season. So we're looking towards that. Cardinals have Monday Night Football against the Chargers. Currently, the spread, it's in Arizona. Currently, the spread is, I bet it, Lou, what do you think the spread is?
Probably Chargers. I'd assume they're just going to run all over our defense, and then use Justin Herbert to fill in, the holes.
Yeah, Chargers are currently
But I
minus
would say
two and
probably
a half.
3. Yeah,
Yeah, they'll
that
probably
sounds
go to
right. So
3.
I'd probably take the Chargers, to be honest, at that. But I don't know. You just never know what Cardinals team shows up, right? Like,
Yeah,
I say this today, and then somehow our offense is good and our line is doing the job, and we could win that game. Like, it's not a losable game. It's just, I think if these teams played 10 times in a row, I think we would lose the majority of those games.
yeah. Lou, you want to hear a sad stat that I heard the other day? Cardinals have
Sure.
not won 2 games in a row in 3 calendar years.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's why I think
sad.
it goes up to it's top down at that point, right? But nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. All right, let's go back into some recap Thursday night football. 49ers, Seahawks. 49ers are banged up. Mason gets hurt early, but they just have so many tools. They just replace and refill. Samuel had a big game. I think the Seahawks are frauds.
Yeah, I mean, they got a really good run game, but can everyone stay healthy? Geno Smith is really not that good. I don't see them as being a contender. I think the 49ers are probably still, the leading team in this division. But it's not really as far as probably it used to be. Who's the second best team in this division? Is it us? Like I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it
I
the
don't know.
healthy Rams?
I
Maybe
think it's a healthy Rams team who's the second best team.
has to be.
I think
Has
it's
to be.
Michael. It's Mike. It's not Mike McDonald, or is it Mike O'Donnell? Coach of
For
the
who? Which one?
Seahawks. Coach of the Seahawks. I
I
think it's
don't know.
Mike O'Donnell.
I have no
Um,
clue.
he's got a great offensive scheme, but the defensive aspects really lack. I know Metcalf wasn't too happy that he wasn't getting the ball, and he had a couple
Yeah,
penalties.
his body language was poor throughout the game. He did not look like he
Yeah,
wants to be on that team, to
he
be
was
honest.
not a happy camper. Yeah, I mean, I think the 49ers here, it doesn't sound like Christian McCaffrey is going to be back anytime soon.
Yeah, I was just talking about this today with a buddy, and we were kind of like, is he gonna play? And then my thought too was like, is he even gonna be in shape if he is
Mm-hmm.
healthy? Like it's got to take a few weeks, like no preseason, no training camp. Like I don't imagine. Maybe it's worth maybe in the playoffs if really down the road. But then again, it's just like if you got something working at that point and you're that far, why kind of throw in another piece and kind of potentially mess it up? I don't know.
Yeah, he just like so many weapons in like the screen game, and like he does run the ball very hard. But you're right. Like, is he going to be in shape?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. That London game early morning. My boy Joseph Lloyd was up for that one. Jaguars get absolutely rolled by the Bears. As much as I
Yeah.
want to
This.
say this is the Bears playing good football, this is the Jaguars just playing probably some of the worst football in the league, besides maybe Carolina. I mean, Doug Peterson,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how he won. How did he win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles?
I'm not sure, but dude, I don't know. It's crazy, but I actually watched a pretty good majority of this game, and it was more competitive in the first half for sure. Um, give a little bit credit to Caleb Williams. It kind of looks like he's starting to figure it out. So I'd also give him a
Yeah,
little credit. The Jaguars stink. They're awful. Their offense is terrible. The only thing they could get working was Evan Ingram as far as their game. I think Travis Etienne had like negative yards or did not have a yard. I think they got Tank Bigsby going a bit, so maybe they'll see a little bit more of him in the future. But man, I mean, Trevor Lawrence was once, one of these guys that was supposed to be a generational type talent.
And I still
like
think he is. Like, I still think he's a very good quarterback. Like, I would take Trevor Lawrence over Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, I
think it's the scheming of Doug Peterson. I think this is a coaching thing.
But what I would say to that is, if T.Y. was that good, he would be able to win some games. So he might not be completely awful, but he's definitely not what we thought he was coming out of Clemson. And like being a generational type guy, like he should be up there with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, but he's just not, or not even close.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, to be completely honest. But maybe, I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. Put him on another team, and you don't know what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, look at the guys who those Joe Burrow and Josh Allen have it. Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott are those. Those are two really offensive-headed minds. Doug Peterson's a little bit of an older guy. You don't know what. I don't know. I think Doug Peterson's going to get fired after they come home from London. They're playing the Patriots next week in London. I think he's going to get fired.
Yeah, no, I'd be surprised. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he made it past Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's going to happen.
So Bears look good though. I do agree. Their secondary was even banged up a little. They had two injured. They had two cornerbacks hurt. The Bears did look good. I'm excited to see them play a good team, which I don't think they play for a while. I think they play the Cardinals the week after next.
Really?
I think they play the Commanders. I guess the Commanders are pretty good. I mean, they don't have a great defense, but their offense is pretty good. Yeah, they play the Commanders and then the Cardinals. So that game might be pretty good, the Commanders game.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Did you catch this Saints game?
Oh, what an exciting game. What an exciting game. I mean, this over was hit in the first quarter and a half. I mean, this was a great game. Spencer Rattler, who was an Arizona resident, went to Pinnacle High School. A bunch of our buddies know him, Lou.
Yep. Just about to bring him up. He kind of had a decent performance for a quarterback that I've actually thought is extremely overhyped all throughout high school, college, and now even at the NFL level. He kind of outperformed what I thought he would do. I mean, not a big fan of his. I think he's kind of a scum.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of him at Oklahoma and South Carolina, but he had a good second quarter. He didn't do much else besides that, but obviously it's his first game. Saints defense is pretty bad. I don't know how you win the first two games by that significant of a margin, and then the next four, they're 2-4, right? I mean, they've lost the last three.
Yeah.
They lost the last four. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think they were contenders, so those first two games were pretty surprising to me. They're gonna have
kind of a fluke for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we see Dallas is not that good. They're just ass. So
no, they're not. I mean, and we'll jump into that later.
Yeah, you want to go to
Commanders Ravens? Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I did. I didn't watch entirety of it, but I did watch the last few plays. Wow, Jaden Daniels is actually, he might be for real. I mean, he's good.
I know. I think one thing I heard about Jaden Daniels I think is interesting is he has C.J. Stroud's rookie year stats on his home screen, or maybe it's on his phone that he looks at all the time. So that's pretty cool. I think kind of sets a precedent for like, hey, like nobody thought you could touch what CJ did last year, and he's there. But in this game, at least you got to give credit to the Ravens, man. I mean, it's kind of unfair they have Derrick Henry on their team. Like they're almost too good, I think.
For the Commanders, I think this was like a test just a foot in the water, just to see where they're at. I think they passed. Like,
True.
Obviously, winning would have been great, but they were in the game until the end. They did pass. Like, they can contend with a big team. And going on to the Ravens, wow. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
team I expected to play the type of football, big rushing, and then just develop plays off, with Zay Flowers. Like, they should kill
Yeah.
teams with just power running, right? Derrick Henry's a
Yeah.
beast.
Their offense is firing. Mark Andrews actually caught a touchdown pass, so he was getting
Yeah, first one of
Arizona's
the year.
own
First one of
Mark
the year.
Andrews. So it's good to see him get back into it. So yeah, I actually took Commanders spread on this game. I think it was 7.5, maybe 9.5. I don't remember, but it was.
I think it was
hit it.
7 or 7.5. Depends what sports book you were on, Lou.
I think I got 7.5. So I did hit that, kind of a close one, but I felt like that was 7 points. Just did not seem 7.5 points did not seem fair versus the Commanders. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah, yeah. I think this was a really good game. We were impressed with the Commanders, and then the Ravens got a win against, I would say, a top 10 team in the NFL. I mean, I think the Commanders are in the driver's seat for that division.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think the Ravens are a legit Super Bowl contender this year? I mean,
Yeah.
they were last year, but they're kind of like the Cowboys where Lamar hasn't seemed to found a lot of success in the playoffs. So
Yeah. I mean,
I think they are.
I would love to see the Ravens pick up another like slot receiver. I don't have a name off the top of my head, but I would like to. I don't know how much cap space they have, but I would like to see them pick up another wide receiver. And their defense is getting healthier. I really see them being the only real challenger against Kansas City.
Wow. I think I agree with that take, honestly. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. Next game, Colts Titans.
Oh,
Joe Flacco gets the start. I think that's the right decision. My brothers and I used to have a joke when Joe Flacco was on the Ravens because there was debate whether he was elite or not. So we'd be like, Joe Flacco is elite. We'd say that jokingly, but Joe Flacco's elite, and I'm saying that
he
like completely
he
serious.
is. He is.
He's incredible, and he's
He doesn't
aged
have the
a fine wine.
mobility, but he still has the
No,
arm strength, Lou. He still has the arm. He can still sling it.
yeah, and obviously the mind is super sharp too for
Very.
40 or whatever he is.
Lou, what are your thoughts on him taking the Browns to the playoff last year? And obviously, Houston's probably going to win that division. But if right now they're in the 7th seed of the wild card, he takes the Colts to the playoffs. I mean, look, Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls, obviously that'll be. But Joe Flacco, like, who would have thought that this guy goes Baltimore, Cleveland, Indiana,
Yeah,
and
and I think that kind of gets into another conversation, which we'll jump into a second, is why did the Browns get rid of him? And why
they
go
didn't even
back to,
offer him. Didn't even offer him.
and Deshaun Watson that is obviously over. Like that, this experiment's over. They're awful. I mean,
Yeah.
the worst signing probably in NFL history. So that's crazy. But no, crazy game for the Colts.
Colts get a big win in Tennessee. Next week, who do the Colts have next week, Lou? Honestly, I like them as a sleeper kind of
Dolphins.
playoff team. They have the Dolphins next week, so they could grab another win. But
It's
then
a
they have
win there.
they have some really tough games coming up, and then they kind of end the
Texans,
season
Vikings.
Texans, Vikings, Bills, Jets, Lions. But then they have Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, Jaguars. So I mean, it's going to be, if they can win one of those big games, they might be 9-8 or 10-7, maybe. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting for the Colts.
Yeah.
And then next game, Texans.
Yeah, sure. Texans, Patriots. Didn't really watch much of this game. Kind of thought Drake May would struggle. Have not looked at his stats, but from what I've kind of seen on social media, it looks like he did not shine that much in that game. CJ looked pretty good. Tank Dell got some receptions, so good for him getting back into it after his injury. Yeah, I mean, Patriots are obviously, I think they're probably going to get the first pick,
Yeah,
right?
them
You
or
think they're the worst team
Carolina.
at
I
this
mean,
point?
the Patriots just. I'm surprised they played Drake May here, but the offense did look better than Jacoby Brissett. So I mean, at least that's good for the Patriots fans. He's not worse than.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to win. I think they're trying to develop the quarterback and lose so they can rebuild,
Yeah,
with draft picks and stuff.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, Texans look good. No Nico Collins, he's out. He's on the IR,
he's
so he'll
on
be out for
IR.
another 2 weeks. And then we got controversy down in Philly, Lou. I mean, Philly is I think they were 8.5 or 9 point favorites at home, and they barely win this game.
Yep.
The kicker misses the field goal, and then the Browns score a touchdown late. So it was kind of closer than it actually should have been, but the score wasn't as bad as it was. But I think the big topic is Nick Sirianni and how long he's
Yes.
going to be in
Yes.
Philadelphia.
Well, did you see what happened? Fans
I
were
did.
booing him, and then he went after the game and was talking shit to the fans.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense. The Eagles just don't look good at all. Pulled out the win. I actually took Brown's spread in this game. Uh, Both kind of shit teams. I thought this game was closer than 9.5 is what I got it at.
Yeah.
So
It was interesting. If you watched his press conference, he had his kids in the press
yep.
conference. So it almost felt like he knew he was going to get slaughtered, and maybe he was using the
Mm-hmm.
kids as some defense because you shouldn't be bringing your kids and you're a head coach of a professional football team. You shouldn't be
It
doing that. So
I mean, if it's after a win, I think it's different, or like a big celebration, you're celebrating with your family, but that doesn't really make any sense.
yeah,
It's kind of weird. Definitely agree with you. He was just, not wanting to take the hot
I
seat.
think a lot of Philly fans, unless he does something incredible and they go to the Super Bowl, he's going to be fired. I mean, even if they make the playoffs, I think he's going to be fired.
Yeah, they have to win the Super Bowl for him to probably be
Yeah,
a coach. Even if they go to the Super Bowl and lose, I don't think he comes back. I know that's a bold take, but I don't think he comes back.
yeah, I don't think he's coming back. I mean, yeah, the whole thing with the Phillies fans and him yelling at the fans, that's not acceptable from a head coach.
And the owner's got to
Um,
hate that.
yeah. Next game, Steelers Raiders. This was kind of a crummy game. Steelers get it done. Russell Wilson had his helmet on the whole time, I guess, and was thinking he was going to go in, but Justin Fields kind of gets it done with his feet. Najee has, I think it was his first touchdown of the year.
He ran for over 100 yards too, I think,
Yeah,
or
he had a
about
good
100.
game. He's been on and off, but this is definitely a game he turned it on. Raiders are in disarray. They traded Devontae Adams today, as we speak about that. So they're looking for draft picks and they need a quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's time to embrace the rebuild for that team. This might be a really hot take, but I potentially think for the sake of Crosby's career, you try to trade him to the Lions, hometown kid, Michigan kid, going back to the Lions after the Aiden Hutchinson injury. Um, Not sure if that's actually feasible, but if they're fully embracing the rebuild, I mean, how long is this rebuild going to take? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind that trade. Obviously, with Hutchison going down this weekend, um, that's honestly the Lions will need that. I don't know how much cap space they have left, but he's not coming back the rest of
They
this year.
they do have enough cap space, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, what
So
would you even offer the Raiders? You'd probably offer your first round pick, and the Lions would just be all in on this year, right? You'd offer them a first
I've
round, a conditional second round, and maybe I don't know, some cash or something.
I've been hearing online 2 first rounds and then something else in the range of a second or third. So I think
Yeah,
2 or 3 first rounds might be even Max Crosby's
yeah, and then the Lions would be
price right
all
now.
in. The Lions would be all in on this year. And I don't know who's up for contract next year on the Lions roster, but they would potentially get that
But do you
Hutchison.
care? do you care about picks? I mean, I would rather. I mean, if I'm a Lions fan, I'd rather go win it this year, and then like if we suck for a year or two after, who cares? Like that's the whole Matt Stafford thing. They're like, oh, the Lions won the trade. They won a Super Bowl. The Rams won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
Like
don't. Matthew
they
Stafford's
both won the
old
trade.
now. Like now, it doesn't matter. But the Rams won the trade in the aspect of they won a Super Bowl. That's the goal. So like, if you're a
And
Lions fan, you want to win now. The Lions
exactly.
have all the pieces to win now.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal is winning a Super Bowl. They did that, and now they're potentially going to have to look at getting a quarterback, the Rams, in the future. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Um, but yeah, kind of jumped ahead on that game.
Yeah,
Steelers find a way to win. Just the experience and coaching. Uh, don't think they're that good. Their offensive line is really not that good, but they find a way to win.
they do.
So
They find ways to win. That defense is pretty good. Um, I don't know. They don't have a tough first half schedule, but their last 7-8 games they will be tested. So we'll kind of see that after their bye, where they come out and they play. I think they play 7 or 6 division opponents, which that division's
damn,
got the Bengals and the Ravens. So and then we're talking about Hutchinson Lions go into Dallas on Jerry Jones' 82nd birthday and slaughter the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this was a pumping. I mean, they gave it to him, and
yeah.
they gave it to him good in every single aspect.
Cowboys are not good, but they're extremely hurt on defense too without Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an embarrassment. I mean, sell. I don't know what to do. Sell the team, Jerry. I guess. Like I don't know. Like, what are you
That's
gonna
Lee's
do?
solution. If your team's bad, sell them.
Make some good money. Like I don't
um,
know.
the Cowboys haven't won at home all season, and including they're 0-4 in their last 4 home games, and I think they were outscored. I think their differential is 120 something points. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Dallas, but figure it out. I mean, they do have the talent. They have no running game. I don't really know
No,
what their acquisitions were. I guess it was re-signing CD, Dak, and Micah. And this is what happens where you pour all your money into 3 guys, and then one guy gets hurt, and then the other 2 just aren't on this. It just didn't look like they were on the same page
so I
today
believe the
or yesterday.
Cowboys has. I believe the Cowboys have some cap space because they were talking about potentially getting Devontae Adams. Do you look to bring in another piece into the offense or potentially a few different pieces into the offense and or defense? Because I think potentially I don't know what power back is on the market right now. I mean, running
Yeah, they
backs
need a
are
running back.
they got to get something and potentially another receiver, and then they potentially need something in the secondary to help them too. Um, Even on the D line, I mean, they need it. It just looks like the Cowboys look like they're in a tough place because they're a win now championship, so-called championship ready team, but they just suck all of a sudden, and
How
that's
about
got to be
James?
deflating.
How about we give them James Conner for some picks, Lou?
I would really, I think that would be a good idea. I wouldn't mind losing. I think at this point we're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I know that's kind of early. Let's go and get some picks, but I don't know what
yeah,
James Conner's worth.
yeah.
But
He's what,
I don't know,
28, 27?
maybe a little bit older. He's on a, I don't, maybe a second or third. Second's probably high, third or fourth maybe for him. I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
Cardinals
I
don't
don't
need
hate
him.
that idea. I don't hate
Um,
it.
yeah, so the Lions just cruise through. Jared Goff looks great. The Lions' running game
Yep,
is, I mean, they got 2 backs who can
they're
just run the shit out of the ball.
and probably the best offensive line in the NFL too.
Yeah. Moving on to Mile High City, Chargers take the win 23-16. Jim Harbaugh actually went down with some injury, which was that was weird, but he went down and was back in the second half. This game was lost in the first half. They were down 20-0. Bo Nix pretty much shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I don't know how Bo Nix has gotten this many wins on the season today. It's kind of surprising. But Chargers looked pretty good. So they were throwing the ball a decent amount in the first half. So yeah, good win for them.
Yeah, I think as Herbert gets more healthy with that sprained, I think it's left ankle, he'll probably throw the ball more. J.K.
Yeah,
Dobbins did run it for a lot.
yeah,
So
he did.
it'll be interesting to see how they play against the Cardinals next week on Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'm excited for that game.
Next game, Falcons Panthers. Panthers just an atrocious team. I don't know. I mean, do you put Bryce Young back in because you just want him to develop and maybe you can get some trade offers for him?
Um,
I don't know.
I'm unsure what this team should do in the future other than just embrace a rebuild and try to get picks. You don't really have many assets to pawn off, so it's kind of just lose. Um, as far as Bryce Young, I don't think it's going to work with this team and this offense. I think trade him. I mean, you might sell him pretty low right now, but yeah, embrace the rebuild. Look for a new quarterback. Look to draft Shadu or I don't know, Cam Ward, whoever, anyone else. I think it's you got to start over again. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I don't think he's your guy, and the defense isn't. I mean, the defense is pretty. I think they're the worst defense in the NFL.
probably. I mean, they lost Brian Burns, and they actually had some studs too. So it's sad. They suck.
Um, Sunday Night Football was kind of a doozer. Bengals barely cover with a late touchdown by Chase Brown. Joe Burrow had his longest run of his career, 47 yards for a touchdown. Bengals, I guess, showed that they're good at defense, but he was playing Daniel Jones. Giants organization's kind of in disarray. Their defense is pretty good, but with no Malik Neighbors, they really have nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I think Devin Singletary was out again too, so didn't have their starting back. They don't have much. They were just trying to throw it to Darius Slayton. Was just not working. I mean, Giants are just not fun to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, they're a pretty scrappy
Unless
team. I don't know
Neighbors
how
is
they
in
beat.
there.
I didn't watch that Seattle game last week, but I don't know how they beat Seattle.
I don't think I watched it either, to be honest.
And then the Monday Night Football, great game. It was the game of missed field goals. It didn't look that windy in MetLife Stadium, but it was obviously pretty windy because some of those guys missed. It was 3 missed kicks from inside 40 yards or 45 yards. A lot of penalties. I mean, that game was kind of brutal to watch at the end. There were so many penalties, Lou.
Yeah.
And then obviously today with new information, Jets get Devontae Adams. Do you think this significantly increases their chance to make a playoff run and potentially win a Super Bowl this year?
No. I think it's going to help, but I think the problem's internal. It might even be Aaron Rodgers. I just am not sure if it's going to work. I think firing Rob Sala was not the best idea. I think there was probably a better way to go around that. I mean, he hasn't been performing, but then again, I don't think Rob Sala is the issue. Not sure if Devontae Adams is
Yeah,
going to really.
I think it's Nathaniel Hackett.
I agree. I totally agree. So not sure that. Actually, both these teams picked up kind of aging receiver stars with the Bills picking up Amari Cooper too.
Yeah.
But I don't think it moves the needle really for either team. Might for the Bills slightly more than the Jets, I would say.
Yeah, the Jets had two corners got hurt in that game, and they didn't play late. I don't know.
Unfortunate.
I like the Jets. I like the talent they have, but obviously you're right with they just don't have the right internal pieces with coaching, where it's they have the talent, but they're not getting results.
And they're not going to get it together within this time. I mean,
Yeah,
the
Rodgers is
game was
done after this
close.
year. I mean, Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know what Devontae's deal was, but you would think Rodgers is going to come back for another season because Devontae's there.
I guess but it depends who's the next coach is going to be. And maybe the owner or
Bill
the next coach
Belichick.
decides to move on from Aaron Rodgers, which sounds crazy, but potentially the right thing to do. I think,
Yeah.
get Saban and Bill Belichick, just duo head coach.
Just a nasty combo. Just
Yeah,
nasty.
and then throw in Pete Carroll too to like do media or something.
Just get Nick Saban on your defense. Bill Belichick's your head coach. Pete Carroll, he can just be there. He doesn't even need a position. He can just be there. We can just have the ultimate
Exactly.
coaching staff.
Yeah.
That covers week 6 of the NFL. We'll go a little bit into college, Lou.
Sure.
ASU, um, big win against Utah. I don't know if you saw that Kenny Dillingham interview, but
Interview. I did, yes.
I mean, I love that guy for
He's
ASU.
great.
He's a great
I'm kind of,
coach.
I mean, as a grown up as a U of A fan, it's sometimes hard to stomach, but after leaving Arizona, I kind of support all of Arizona sports, I feel like now. Um, Great win. I mean, they're kind of fun to watch. Cam Scatabo is incredible. I mean, looks like he might be, potentially a guy in the NFL level too. Um, but yeah, they can run the ball. They got a decent defense. I think they beat U of A this year. It's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking
What are
forward
your
to
thoughts?
ASU. They're playing Cincinnati next week on the road.
Oh
They're
wow,
gonna get a chance to, be bowl eligible next week. So I'm looking forward to that. That was on Friday. Um, Honestly, probably talk about the big games. Texas
Oregon.
dominates Oklahoma. Not really much to say there. Oklahoma just doesn't really have much. Quinn Ewers, maybe can get back in the Heisman conversation. And then Penn State
One
wins a
thing on
close one at USC. Um,
one thing on the Texas Oklahoma game. That game's in Dallas, actually at the State Fair. So I went to the State
mhm.
Fair. They had the whole SEC set up there. That's where the Cotton Bowl is. It was really cool. Um, if we ever get the chance, honestly, we should go in the future. It'd be fun. Cotton Bowl is awesome, but man, tickets are expensive and it was hot, so
Yeah. Did
not
you
sure
did
that it
you
was
attend the
that
game?
fun.
Did you
I didn't
attend the
go to the
game?
game, but no, I wouldn't. I didn't go to the game, but I went. They have the Texas State Fair there, so it's like a
Oh, okay.
whole ground. It's awesome. That's also where the Cotton Bowl Stadium is.
Yeah.
So went to there, checked out the booth and stuff. Friends and I were talking about going down and potentially hitting a bar over there, but it's just too busy. But no,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
Penn State was a close one at USC. I didn't get actually to see any of this game, but I guess Penn State came back. USC cannot win in the Big Ten. They're 0-3 in the Big Ten. They're in trouble. Lincoln Riley cannot big win against big opponents. This one was at home, so that was disappointing to see them lose. And then you
Yeah,
want to go to this.
I was
Go
hearing
ahead.
Nick Saban talk about USC, and he's making a great point. There's not a ton of big bodies on the West Coast, so you have to go recruit either from, Samoan from kind of Hawaii area, or you got to go recruit from the South, Midwest, and get those big guys. So it's hard with USC being a West Coast team. It's probably going to take a while for them to physically get up to where Penn State is, and they just have a good defense. So that was an exciting game. Probably closer than I thought it was going to be, but definitely thought Penn State was going to take that game.
Yeah. And then obviously the game of the week was Ohio State visiting Oregon. Ohio State kind of had this game in their hands, and then obviously a late Oregon drive ended in a field goal, and then Ohio State just didn't have enough time, and then Will Howard runs out of time. I want to talk about what you think about Dan Lanning putting the 12th man on the field, getting the penalty, extracting those 4 or 5 seconds that really ended up being the difference in the game. Do you think this should be allowed? Do you think I hate where defensive teams get a penalty and obviously they move up yards, but the offense loses seconds, which is more valuable than yards in that aspect. What are your thoughts on like late game penalties like this?
Yeah, I thought in the moment though, Ohio State could have called a timeout, and they kind of didn't they kind of botch the call. I thought it was more of a miss. I don't know, but either way, I don't love it, but whatever the rules are, what's fair is fair. If it's in the rule book and Dan Lanning knows that and uses it, I guess props to him, right? That's a smart thing. Question comes down to, do you change the rule book? Probably. It seems dumb. I also think they need to add a rule about players just going down and faking injuries to get timeouts on defense. Been happening a ton in college. Make those rule changes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you're right. He's going to use the rule to his advantage. I think it needs to be changed. It needs to be addressed where the defense makes a penalty and the time's still extracted. I think the time should get reset to where the original play was, and you should get the yards.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So obviously, I think Ohio State's still a great team, and I think they'll be there at the end of the day. I think they're going to win the Big Ten. I think they'll take down Oregon, especially if it's at a neutral site. I think Ohio State will learn from this, and I think they'll be the one of the top 4 seeds.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about. Used to be my boy Denzel Burke, cornerback on Ohio State. Man, he got torched all game long. That's tough, my boy. But
yeah,
just wanted to point that one out. Was Brophy, great guy, but got torched all game long. I don't know if you saw that at all.
I didn't see the name, but I knew the Ohio State secondary was getting lit up all the game. So
yeah, oh yeah.
And then last game we're kind of going to talk about Ole Miss at LSU in Death Valley, night game, really tough place to play. Ole Miss had control of this game the whole game, and then kind of let loose the last 2 quarters. I would say quarter and a half, and then they give up a touchdown late to lose the game. It was late, right? It was or an OT. They lose an OT.
Yep, an OT.
They barely got the field goal. A lot of penalties weren't in. It was 3rd and 20, 3rd and 25. Ole Miss. Where does Ole Miss go from here? They got a really tough schedule coming up. I mean, I think they have to play at Arkansas. I think they're in bad shape. They're in really tough shape for SEC and being a contender there.
Yeah, they've had some tough games, but when you're in the SEC, you gotta win, and they're just not. I mean, they got a really talented quarterback, but you gotta win games, and that's how it is in that SEC. Did you catch any of that Florida Tennessee game? It ended in OT. Pretty incredible game. Florida had quite the performance. Tennessee kind of with, I think, 2 lackluster. They lost last week to Arkansas, right? Or was it the week before? And then
last week to Arkansas.
Another kind of lackluster performance. So wonder if that's kind of a young quarterback thing. That was a good game, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something I want to touch on. With NIL and pay for play, I think what you're going to see is a diversity of great players going everywhere, right? We see that. I think we're going to see more of that. We're not going to have stacked on stacked teams. They're going to diversify, and if Florida State or Florida needs a defensive end and they're willing to pay, they're going to get them. And if Alabama's not willing to pay them as much, they're not going to get them, right? Are you kind of in the same boat as that, where you're going to see more diversity and more like maybe not as well ranked teams play ranked teams better?
Definitely. I mean, what you're describing is basically a market, right? And now there's a market for all these players, and they have price tags. And, a player might be willing to kind of go a little bit cheaper to a more prestigious kind of school with this crazy history like Alabama. So you always kind of have that factor of just history, who the coach is. But totally, I mean, I think my school is the biggest example of that. We've looked like we made a pretty big leap from last year to this year. Look like a pretty decent team, one that's competitive in the ACC, where people didn't see us, and a lot of other schools are in that boat. And just to speak to the Colorado-Kansas State game, Colorado looks a little bit better this year. Like, it looks like their transfers have been providing, good play for them. So I totally agree with you. I think the marketplace is great, but there's a lot of issues with it too. A lot of people are getting scammed, like with the UNLV stuff, which we don't even know what the truth is. So there needs to be more regulation around this stuff, and there needs to be more education for these players too. I mean, how is Marvin Harrison Jr. signing a stupid Fabletics deal in college when he's got a Hall of Fame dad with a ton of money? Like, that's not a very smart decision, and a lot of these players kind of need that ability. I think NIL is great, but there's definitely a lot of problems.
Yeah, I agree. The one game I attended this weekend, went up to Fresno State, wanted to get boots on the ground to see that team. Let
Love
me just
it.
tell you, they're horrible.
Who do they play? Utah
Washington
State?
State
Oh,
goes
Washington
to
State.
Fresno State. Fresno State actually had a really good opportunity to win this game. They missed 2 field goals. It was 17-16. They were driving with the ball. Um, they're up 17-16. I think they were up 17-16. Washington State, Mikey Keene throws a pick six with like 3 minutes left. Washington State wins the game. That was pretty interesting to see. Washington State, actually not a bad football team. Obviously, after you losing Cam Ward, big loss there. They looked pretty good. I don't know. They're playing in the Mountain West, so I don't know what that'll
I
look
mean,
like. But
I'd have to imagine from a funding standpoint, Washington State still has a decent amount of money to spend in NIL, while San Jose State probably doesn't. So,
Fresno State.
Fresno, sorry, Fresno. Um,
Yeah, they're
Same thing.
huge. Them and Oregon State have huge capabilities over all those other real Mountain West schools.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously the advantage of being in a well, they're not a power conference, but former power conference where they used to have the money and ability to track some of that down. But I think the Pac-12 is just going to be, it's really just the WAC rebranded now or whatever. So
Yeah. I don't know if you call me baseball, but I was heavily, interested in watching the Padres. Padres ended up losing that series to the Dodgers. They ran out of gas, had no ability to hit the baseball. So Dodgers are playing the Mets, currently tied 1-1. They're going back to New York.
yeah, I've been
The
quite intrigued in baseball. I think in the playoffs, it's been really fun. I was actually rooting for San Diego. I know you were too. Just bummed to see them go out. I really don't know who's going to be, in the World Series. I think either New York Yankees and Mets and or Dodgers would be kind of a cool storyline, from the stance of you could have New York again, or you have kind of the two powerhouse teams slug it out. So I think that's kind of cool. I just have a sour taste in my mouth about the Mets. I really don't want to see them win. I think it kind of makes us not look special. I know I kind of talked about rooting for a underdog, but I want them to lose now. What's
Yeah,
your
I
take
think
on
you're right
everything?
in that aspect of it. I really don't want to see the Mets. I'd rather see the Dodgers. Um, and then I think it's going to be Yankees. I think the Yankees will take down the
Yeah,
Guardians. I don't think the
I hope.
Guardians have the starting pitching to do it. Um, you know, I guess from a media standpoint, I mean, reporters and media will just be all over the Yankees
Oh,
playing the Dodgers in the World Series. I mean, it'll be just a dream
it's
for all media personnel.
yeah. I think it's gonna get to the point where it's just gonna get like obnoxious and annoying, and be like, okay, like I'm not even gonna watch. Well, I'm not. I'm gonna watch games, but I'm not even gonna like care that much because they're just shoving it in your face. I hope they don't do that too much.
Yeah, I agree. So that'll be interesting to see what happens these next couple days on that side. You want to talk about a little preview before the week for Week 7 in the NFL? Lou? Start with the Thursday night game.
Cool. Broncos Saints 2.5, -2.5. Denver is the line. It is in New Orleans. Yeah, Denver as the favorite here. I'm probably going to take Denver. I know that's kind of surprising. I just think it's hard for a rookie quarterback. to do. I know they're both rookies, but Bo Nix has had a little bit more experience than Spencer Rattler, assuming he's still playing, which I think he is. I think Denver wins this in just a slug out game.
Yeah, I think this is a nasty game. I'm gonna ride with the Broncos with you on this one. I don't think Spencer Rattler is going to do much. I think the Broncos defense is actually pretty good. So I like the Broncos here. Patriots at Jags. Jags minus 5.5. It's the London game. Another
This is
crummy game.
tough. This is terrible.
I'm gonna go with New England. Just because of the fact that I think the Jaguars are horrible.
I am actually going to go for the Jags, and I know I don't like it, but I think the Patriots suck, and I think the Jags are fighting for more here. I mean, everyone has something to play for. I mean, the coach has got to win. T-Law's got to do something, and man, they got to win I think they win by a touchdown. I mean, they have to, right? We'll see.
I think that's what I'm gonna want to choose on. Is they're not gonna win by a touchdown. They might be a closer game than you think.
I guess we'll see what happens. Seahawks, Falcons. Current line is Atlanta -3. It's in Atlanta.
This is a great pretender or contender matchup. I'm gonna go with Atlanta here, -3. I think Atlanta has a little bit better run game, and I think that Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to take Atlanta as well at home, number one. Only -3, which is kind of a little bit surprising.
It is.
But I think both can have a decent run game. Maybe Seahawks have the edge as far as line. But, I mean, it's just they're going to air it out. Falcons are going to air it out, so they're going to win.
Yeah. And then we got Tennessee traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo coming off a short week. -8.5, big line here for the Bills.
I think I'm going to take the Titans plus money. I just think this is a big line. Short week for the Bills. I kind of, yeah.
I'm going to go with Titans here too. No reason to rhyme. I just 8.5 is a lot of points. And I think that Buffalo coming off a short week, they don't exactly look like a huge title weight contender. So I'm going to go with Tennessee here.
And no way even if Amari Cooper plays, I doubt he could be effective after 1 week of being there. So
yeah. Cincinnati travels to Cleveland, divisional matchup. Cincinnati -6.5.
I hate this line, and I honestly hate this game. I think Cincinnati's really not that great either. I think they're just not as good as everyone thinks. But I'm still going to take them -6.5. I think the Browns, they got to do something different. Taking the Bengals here.
I'm going to take the Browns. They just play Joe Burrow really well. I think Cleveland's a horrible team, but they somehow find a way to play good against Joe Burrow. So I'm going to take Cleveland.
They do. I'll give you that. Okay, we got a great game here. Texans-Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah, this is a good game. This is probably the game of the week in the morning.
Probably. Potential rain for this game. 56. I'm going to take Green Bay here. Home. If it rains, I feel like they got a better run game with Josh Jacobs. I like their offense. They play like they did last week. Texans are good, but I think Packers are one of the best teams.
Yeah, I think the Packers defense is pretty good, and I think that's what's going to lead them to victory here, especially at home. I like them against the Texans here, especially at home. And I think Jordan Love can get the ball out quick. Got a lot of targets.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of another stinker here. Miami at Indianapolis.
I'm kind of surprised this line is this close. I don't even really have to think about this. I'm taking Indiana -3.5.
Yeah, I like that too. This is probably going to go more. It's going to go higher as the week goes on. Just people getting on Indianapolis.
Yeah,
When is
I
Tua?
guess
Do you has any word back on Tua when he's supposed to be back?
McDaniels said that he should be back in 2024. So
Wow.
two
So he's not even
months.
coming back for this season.
He should be back in 2024. So this season, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. This season. Oh,
this
interesting.
year in a few
This
months. So
year.
I don't know. I don't even know if that's true, but that's what I saw.
And then another good divisional NFC North matchup, Detroit at the Vikings. Vikings minus 2.5.
I'm going to take Lions plus 2.5. I think this is a 50-50 game, although it's away. Minnesota's got a great defense, but the Lions look really good. Yeah, I'm going to take that plus. I mean, Minnesota could win by a point, but Lions could still cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the points here. Only thing is Vikings are coming off a bye. Um, I don't know. I just don't think the Vikings are still for real yet. I know they've beaten a lot of good teams. I don't know how for real the 49ers were. You know, I want to see the Vikings defense challenge a really good run team, and this will be a test for them. Eagles
Yeah,
visiting the Giants. Oh, sorry. Do you want to say something about that?
my only concern now that I thought about it is no Aiden Hutchinson. So I'm still going to keep my pick, but the defense might be questionable for in that Vikings game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Philly at New York. Philly's -3 on the road.
Whew. I feel like Philly -3 is a trap. But I'm gonna take it.
He's
I
gonna
just
walk
think
into the
they,
trap. Oh, I'm gonna walk in the
yeah.
trap with you, Lou. I'm gonna walk in the trap with you.
I like just hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. Like I feel like that's all you have to do.
Yeah. Yep. Um, Las Vegas Raiders at the Rams. Rams are -7 at home. This
Cooper
is an
Cup is
interesting
back
this is
this
an
week.
interesting line.
Cooper Cup is back this week.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I'm still gonna take Raiders plus. I
Yeah, I
just think
still
this
am
game
too.
is gonna be closer than the line. But LA could very well be very good and blow them out.
Yeah. Panthers at Commanders. Washington -7.5.
Kind of feels like a trap, but I'm going to take Washington -7.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Washington -7.5 as well.
I mean,
And
but
then game of
then
the
again,
week,
Panthers got
Lou.
to like game of the week, Chiefs 49ers -1.5. Whew. San Francisco is the favorite in Santa Clara. I'm going to take the 49ers and say that the Chiefs get their first loss.
I'm gonna take Kansas City. I saw a stat today that Super Bowl matchups, um, the next year, the Super Bowl team that wins is 7-3. So I'm gonna take Kansas City here.
Interesting. Jets Steelers. New York Jets -1.5 in Pittsburgh. Kind of a tough defensive matchup for the Jets, but I have to believe that they got to get it together for this game. I'm going to take the Jets. It's kind of a
I'm gonna,
trap, but I'm taking them.
yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets too. I think even if the Jets can't produce a lot on offense, I think their defense is going to be able to hold the Steelers down. The Jets defense is still pretty good. I don't think that Pittsburgh offense is all that there. They really haven't played a great defense, so uh, I think they get it done. And then the Monday night game, Lou, Cardinals.
Two Monday night games.
Oh yeah, there's two Monday night games. Well, I'm going to take the
And
Chargers
they're
here.
good for. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers as well. I think we already talked about that.
Yeah,
Ravens Bucks. Whew. Baltimore -3.5 in Tampa. I'm gonna take the Bucks here. I think Tampa's. I think the Bucks are. I think Ravens are really good, but I think at home Baker is going to find a way to keep this game close.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I'm going to take Tampa Bay as well with the points. Um, the Tampa Bay does have a pretty good run defense. Obviously, they're not going to be able to completely stop them, um, but I think Tampa Bay will be able to kind of hold them down and keep this one within 3 points.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll switch over
Love
to
it.
back to college. Give me one game, Lou, you're looking forward to the most.
So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer, but Texas, Georgia, I think this is really going to be a test for Texas. I believe it's in Austin. They have college game day again, which is going to be good for them. Let's see if they can really, be the team this year to win it all. I think this is going to be a really important game. Crazy that Texas is in the SEC now, especially being such a big powerhouse. So excited for that one. 6:30 on Central Time, 6:30 on Saturday.
Yeah, this will be a good game. My game's another SEC matchup. Alabama going to Rocky Top. Tennessee, both 5-1. This is a big game for both teams as they both have one loss. Alabama's going in as road favorites, which is really interesting. Tennessee obviously beat Alabama last year. This is going to be a really good game, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Tennessee's defense is really good. Offense has been lacking the last couple of weeks, and Bama hasn't played great football. So these two teams need to step up to the plate.
Yeah. A few very quick honorable mentions. Navy and Army are both ranked. Don't know the last time that's happened. I think that's super exciting. Army's also got a big game with Notre Dame coming up next week, too. So excited for that. And then first ranked game since my freshman year, SMU is playing Stanford in California. Go Mustangs.
I want to bring up an interesting point, which I heard on Twitter. So Army and Navy are in the same division. They could potentially compete for a title, correct?
I think so. I
The
mean, let me
conference. I
see.
don't know what conference are they in. They're in the
They're in the AAC, so that's where SMU used to
AAC,
be an American conference.
athletic
It's
conference.
actually the best.
So
It's the best non-power.
yeah, so they could potentially compete right now. They would be competing in a championship, and then they would play on. Obviously, they play regardless the next week. How weird would it
True for
be?
Army Navy.
How weird would it be if they play in the championship and then they got to play the same team the next week? That'd be funny.
But what
That
is
would be
that even?
funny.
Would they just move it? I feel like it would just make more sense for them just to market that game as. But that would be hilarious. I mean, you're totally right on
That
that.
would be pretty cool. So that would be interesting to see. Big week college sports coming up. Big week of ASU is playing Cincinnati, so that'll be a good game.
And
So we're looking
Arizona
forward to it.
is playing. Who's Arizona playing? Do you know?
Oklahoma State. I don't know who they're playing.
No, they're BYU's playing them. Not totally sure, but let me see. I can pull it up really quickly. They've just been struggling. They play Colorado. Interesting game.
In Colorado?
In Tucson.
Oh, in Tucson. That'll be a good game.
Yeah. Love it.
Good. All right. Well, we will be back next week to report some more scores, report some SEC football, talk a little baseball, and then we'll talk about how the Cardinals can, I don't know, hopefully get better.
Hey, basketball season starts up too next week, so excited to talk about
Basketball,
that.
and then we'll get into the Suns probably next week too, right, Lou?
Yep. Yep, for sure.
Good. All right, Lou, thanks for joining us. Thanks, guys, for coming on. And we will be back next week.
Peace.
Peace.